community, the resilience of the human spirit, and love in all of its forms. We have many special guests here tonight, but I want to call out one. Carrie Inman, who represents JooYoung, has come all the way from Houston. So welcome to you, Carrie, as well. Yeah. This program is made possible thanks to two very special people, Joy and Timothy Light, whose steadfast support of the KIA has allowed us to bring world-class art into our galleries and permanent collections, and to host artists and scholars from all over the country as part of the annual lecture series. In addition to funding the creation of the Joy Light Gallery of Asian Art in 2010, the Light's generous, thank you, yay, thank you, Jennifer. The Light's generous patronage allows us to regularly offer stellar exhibitions and to acquire important works of art by artists, by Japanese, Chinese, and Korean artists. Through the transformational gift of the Joy Light East Asian Art and Acquisition Fund, they've provided our community with opportunities to experience firsthand exceptional artworks created by visionaries from our own region and across the globe. Joy and Tim, we offer you our deepest thanks. We're so incredibly grateful for your steadfast support of the KIA, for your friendship, and for the lasting impact that you are continuing to make on our community. So thank you so much. I also want to take a moment to thank our members. It's your support that sustains the work that we do, allowing us to bring remarkable artists like JooYoung to Kalamazoo, and to offer engaging programs and to ensure that art remains accessible to all, which is part of our core belief that art is for everyone. If you're not yet a member, I encourage you to consider joining. Membership, of course, comes with perks such as free admission, access to exclusive events and previews. But it also supports the KIA's mission, enabling us to serve as a cultural and educational resource for all in our community. If you'd like to learn more about how to become a member of the KIA family, please see me or Catherine Armstrong, who's in the front row. We'd be delighted to talk with you about that. Now it's my honor to introduce JooYoung Choi, whose remarkable body of work qualifies her not only as a uniquely talented visual artist, but also as a true builder of worlds. In her work, reality blends with fantasy in the media of painting, animation, sculpture, and much more, inviting viewers to immerse themselves in a three-dimensional, imaginative universe. And as you'll hear tonight, her imagination really has no bounds. It's just incredible. A graduate of the Massachusetts College of Art and Design and Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, JooYoung uses her distinctive artistic voice to explore themes of identity, resilience, transracial adoption, immigration, birth-family reunion, and social justice. Her work has been featured in venues all across the U.S. and has been recognized with many prestigious grants, awards, and residencies, including support by the National Endowment for the Arts. So we're absolutely thrilled to welcome JooYoung to Kalamazoo to share her artistic journey and insights. So please join me in giving her a warm welcome.
Hello, and thank you all for coming to this event. It's so exciting as a grown-up to know when I was 8 and I wanted to tell everyone about my drawings, you know, a lot of adults didn't have time for it, but now it's part of my job that I get to tell you about my drawings and my art. Before I get started, I wanted to thank Rahima. I mean, thank you for reaching out about this incredible opportunity to be able to share my work with the community here in Kalamazoo. Michelle, thank you so much. And Catherine, I don't know, is Catherine here? I mean, the whole team that helped with the install, it just, everything was incredible. Coming here and bringing, basically transplanting a whole garden and a pound cake man and a bunch of other civilians from outer space and wheeling them through the exhibition spaces and really moving them in. Like they really have moved in. And that space that they've moved in wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Joy and Timothy Light. So thank you so much for providing this space for us to create a whole galaxy, literally all the stars that were put up by different people here in this community. And of course, Jennifer, Miriam, and Amy, thank you also for all of your help. So as you can see, my name is JooYoung Choi, because it's very big there. I always think it's funny to put my name on things because it's like, you obviously know who I am. And oh, there's another one, just in case. And so I thought I would kind of start at the beginning of what kind of inspired me to want to become the type of artist that I am. And so I was going through some photos when I first started doing artist talks, and this is the youngest photo of me I had growing up. I was adopted from Seoul, South Korea to Concord, New Hampshire. And this is the family in New Hampshire I was raised by. And as much as, you know, I really fell in love with art and singing and creativity clubs, and I started writing science fiction stories from, I don't know, you know, when you're little and you have a babysitter and you can get them to write the words and then you get to draw the pictures. That's basically, I would create all these books. I was like a little mini art director as a child. So you can see some of my books. Prince Amos, the first mouse to go to the moon. I made that when I was in, I think, first grade. And that mouse is now a puppet in some of the video art that's downstairs. I also did dance. I studied classical piano. I was in musicals. I made films with my friends in the neighborhood. You know, and so I think not knowing where I came from, really who I came from, whose smile did I have? Like, was my mother creative too? There were these questions that as much as I wanted to kind of fit in or feel like I fit in, there was always kind of this a void that I could feel. Maybe other people couldn't see it, but I carried it inside of me. And so as much as I looked different than a lot of the kids in Concord, New Hampshire, I also kind of felt that inside my heart. There was something a little different about me. And so I really poured all of my energy into filling that void with creativity and painting through my feelings. And so this was one of the pieces this is me at Mass Art, very young, and trying to figure out how to paint, how to make images. And I painted this to try to guess what I thought my birth parents might look like. And soon after I made this, I went to Korea and I found my birth father. And I was shocked because I said, "You've got the same hairdo as if the painting that I made." And he said, "Well, of course it looks like me. And yeah, it's got my hair because you're my daughter. Of course you would know what I'd look like." And so then I found out I had a little sister. And she is now all grown up. She just graduated from accountant school. And a few years ago, I was able to call her and say, "You ready to come to America?" And I was like, "Where do you want to go?" "Disneyland." And she also came and installed the show. So the pound cake man flower, the flower that Emma is holding in her hand, was made by my birth sister. So I asked my dad, where is my mom? And my dad said, I don't know, I lost track, I don't know where she is, but come back next year and we'll go find her. And so I decided I would just paint what I thought she looked like. And so I made this painting, and because of a very wonderful person who snuck back into the ID center on Saturday, she went through the files because she had heard me asking on Friday, I don't know who my birth mother is and I'd really like to know. And she said she couldn't sleep all night knowing that someone didn't know who their birth mother was. And so she snuck in and she was able to find my birth mom. And so she texted me on Saturday morning and said, this is your mom's one day off from work. Would you like to meet her? And so I also showed my mom this painting, and I was like, even your hair looks, I was like, what is going on here? And she's like, well, of course it looks like me. You're my daughter. And I found out I had 2 brothers. So I went from a very small family to my family kind of exploding with all these incredible and wonderful people. But all my work in undergrad was about this desire and yearning in the void. And then I was like, oh no, what am I gonna paint about in grad school? Because you guys, you filled me with so much joy. And so I started to notice as I continued to go to Korea that the version of Korea that I thought was real was more so kind of an amalgamation of Hollywood films, things, snippets of things that I had seen. And it wasn't kind of real Korea. It was kind of this imaginary landscape that I had created in my mind to kind of fill in the gaps. And so when I went to graduate school, I realized I could either see that imaginary world as that I had made up as kind of like a farce or a lie or that I was wrong, or I could see it as a child who was being incredibly resilient to create her own psychic landscape, to fill it with all of the wonder and curiosity, and make that the foundation to create an imaginary world. And so the cosmic womb is that fantastic place. And it began from the moment that I started to wonder, what is Korea and who are my family members that might be there? Are they superheroes? Are they magical beings? And so in graduate school, I really, I started to think about it within a structure. I'm an extremely creative person, which means I could make paintings about anything. And my professors were like, you need to find kind of a compass to guide you. And so to create parameters for myself, creating this narrative about this fantastic planet really kind of helped me wrangle things in. And so there's one of the early maps of the cosmic womb, and here are some of my mentors from graduate school. And so here I gave myself a challenge. Parameters I think are very important. And so I was, I don't know, brushing my teeth, and I just thought, could I explain the cosmic womb in 2 minutes and 30 seconds or less and sing at the same time? Oh. My name is Watson, I'm your learning what I the morning to say. See, I was Watson in the closet room, a place for me and a place for you. See, I was Watson in the closet room, a place for me and a place for you. My name is C.S. Watson, royal artist and historian of the cosmic womb. This is Rainbow Rabbit, my faithful friend. With the help of my mentor, Pleasure Vision, I became cosmic creator. Hero cosmic alchemy activate! With the help of the tuplets and our animal friends, we protect the cosmic womb from the Parion King and his many minions.
Join us for another wonderful adventure. You won't want to miss it.
Thank you so much. And so as I continued on this journey, it became really fun to think, oh, is this idea supposed to be a painting? Or is it supposed to be a video art piece? Or is it supposed to be a puppet? And so each piece that I would make would also be this opportunity to learn new skills. But my foundation has always been painting. And so I thought I would show some of the early kind of works that I was working on. I often like to take something that I'm insecure about and to tackle it through the work. So I had a lot of buddies growing up. I was kind of a tomboy, and the guys that I would hang out with were really good at battle paintings. And I never thought that or battle drawings. They would draw like, I don't know, creatures fighting each other. And I just never could figure it out. So I decided I was going to learn how to make my own battle paintings. And also rescue paintings. And as I continued, I started creating characters like this one is named Magna Scotia, and she's a time traveler who helps prevent catastrophes. And after creating the map of the cosmic womb, I thought, what is the universe that the cosmic womb is within? And I thought maybe it would be kind of a sentient universe, a celestial architect that transforms ideas from the past and memories into planets and worlds. And so this character is named Tourmaline, and the cosmic womb resides within her. Here are a few other pieces. C.S. Watson, who you got to hear her story, who she becomes a cosmic creator, was one of my earliest characters in the cosmic womb. But as I've continued, more and more characters have kind of emerged. And so also to just show you kind of a behind the scenes of how I paint. I was really excited when I found out that I didn't have to crook my neck to try to paint. And so this is always a fun one. This character, her name is Resilient Heart, and she's a great multitasker. Single mom from outer space and also the leading scientist in imaginary space viruses. She recently cured a virus in outer space where a bunch of characters were scared of one another. So it was a fear virus. So they could learn how to embrace each other instead of being scared of one another. And I've heard a rumor that she's dating Pound Cake Man. This painting is also in the show, and the tapestry of faith is something that holds the cosmic womb together. Every moment, every strand of a moment that we have where someone reminds us to have faith in humanity or nature or the world or the cosmos, it creates a strand in the tapestry of faith. And this giant celestial spider protects that tapestry. And when she plays it like a harp, she can send visions to my characters and to, I guess, anytime that we have a eureka moment where we want to go create and do something great, it might be that she's plucked a string and inspired us. And so you can see her in cartoon form and then also in a more humanoid form. And for that painting, there's all these little patchwork pieces. And so I thought it would be fun to just film some of the different ways that the different mark makings that you see were created. So using airbrush, cutouts, and also finding objects and then creating like a monoprint. And then each piece is carefully glued in like puzzle pieces or like a tapestry or a quilt. And so this was a early design of that I was planning out a painting for Resilient Heart when she's giving the fear vaccine to everyone in the cosmic womb, so they can go home and bring it to their small sub-planets and teach other people to make the vaccine so more people can overcome their fears of one another. And so here it is, or me painting it. But I think this next one, yes, I had an intern who moved from Arkansas for the summer and helped me all summer long. And so you can kind of see the process where there's a lot of painting on canvas or paper and cutting, and then, yeah, gluing and cutting and painting some more. And also developing new techniques as to how we were going to glue this onto, I mean, it felt like we were gluing it onto a giant sail, because every time we'd push, it would kind of push back. So she had to become a wall for me so I could get it glued on. So it was very interesting. We're always problem solving in the studio. And so here's a little bit of a time lapse of just how much time it takes to just get all those meticulous details. But I love it, and it's a really special process. And I'm grateful for all the young people who have come in my studio and helped me. This painting is in Dallas. And if you ever go and see it on the shoe, the sole of the shoe, I put the names of the other young people who came and helped me with it. So there's the finished piece. And there's my studio. I live in Spring, Texas, which is right near Houston. And so if you were to ever come to my studio, you would see one of these things happening. That dress was for one of the superhero or supervillains, and my piece is, she's like a snake lady, and I forgot to put a zipper on it. I got stuck in the dress, and I had to call my husband to come pull me out of it. It's always an adventure. Also, I think one of the important things about my work is I would get so serious about painting. And so learning about puppetry, which, I mean, I didn't grow up making puppets. It was more of a later thing as an adult. And I started to notice that characters that had been in my paintings that then I made puppets of, I learned more about the characters through playing with them, and also watching other people interact with them. So we used to kind of test run some of the puppets by bringing them to Denny's, and the waiters and waitresses would come over and hug them and talk to them. Another project that I do is I'll do these digital art drawings and then figure out ways to integrate them into people's spaces. So this was really fun. They had a fire emergency and some light switches on the wall, and so I was able to integrate them into the design of the spaceship. So I love those kind of problem-solving moments. And so let's see here. This was at the end of the last video art piece. So then from that video art piece, I've done a few more, and then I decided I was going to make a short film. And so for this project, I thought I was going to work with real human beings and learn better communication skills. I have autism and ADHD, and so sometimes I have a little bit of trouble explaining myself, and I thought this would be a good way for me to practice communication skills and learn how to be clear and assertive. And then COVID happened, and there was a shutdown, and we weren't supposed to mingle, so I ended up having people voice the characters, and I just decided to make 120 puppets and lip sync all their voices in my garage. And actually Anthony Dunkley, who is an incredible voice actor and actor, he is from Michigan, and hopefully he'll be coming to see the exhibition. So hopefully you'll get to catch him. He played the space cowboy there, smiling in the center of the picture. And you'd think, like, I thought I was just going to be a painter, and then I started making puppets, and then I got asked to do an artisan residency, and I thought, okay, and they said, well, it's like with children, and I was like, oh, okay, because I was getting my PowerPoint ready for like a college group, but But we made so many puppets that week. It was incredible. And I got so many friendship bracelets. It was amazing. And so, it's just been wonderful to find different ways to teach people, whether it's through social media. I'll post how I make things. So this is how Kenjamin, the little grumpy piece of toast, this is how his hands were made, but they were much tinier. So it was little pinches, but yeah, basically the same exact process. And so I think that the thing that's great is the more that you share how you make these things, it doesn't take the magic away. It actually makes it more magical because you realize that just an average human being can make any of this stuff. You just need to have a lot of free time. And so here is most of the cast, not all, but most of the cast of Spectra Force 5, my short film project. And so I got asked by the CAM to share my my puppets, and they had never really been showcased in a museum altogether. And the show was supposed to kind of commemorate the original first show that they had with a certain amount of artists. And one of the artists that was in the show is one of my favorite artists, Jacob Lawrence. And I found out that at the original CAM show, he was not allowed to go to the show because it was segregated. And so that really upset me. And so I wanted to do something special for this anniversary show for the Contemporary Art Museum of Houston to make a vehicle for change that would bring all the voices in the universe that weren't allowed to be at the original show. And even some beings we didn't even know existed, like sentient, hairy, furry monsters and crazy bat creatures and talking octopuses, but also a variety of different humanoid characters as well. And so there it is, all put together. And just to give you an idea of the scale. And I love looking over these just because it reminds me of all the people that I've worked with over the years that have helped either puppeteer these puppets with me or help create them. Oh yeah, there's the sentient talking pencil hippo man who's downstairs. Okay. And so I think I was going to tell y'all a story, but I want to make sure that I get to a few specific pieces. So I'm gonna kind of push myself forward. I'm sorry. If you really want to know the story, you can email me and I will tell it to you. But I wanted to get to be able to get you over to, let's see here. Oh yeah. So one of the other things with Spectra Force 5, let me see here. So I'm going to back up 1 second. So the installations that I started to make, they were kind of an offshoot of the fact that I had done all these battle paintings. And one of the consequences of war is that families get separated from one another. And so when I started making sculptures, I thought, what if I could be a responsible artist, an ambassador from the cosmic womb, and help those families get back together? And so I talked with a curator at the Beaumont Art Museum of Southeast Texas about creating a reunion center where this magic bed named Pom Pom Thunder, who can travel on a superhighway of dreams, can find parents and children who are dreaming about one another, who have been separated by war or conflict, and be able to reunite them at the museum. And the museum was their host family to kind of take care of them. And so Spectra Force 5, the next project that I worked on, I was thinking, what about all the children who go to the reunion center and their parents never show up? Because as I did my own reunion in Korea, I met other people who were searching and could not find their families. And so I wanted to make a space for them as well. And so I thought, wouldn't it be beautiful if these characters could create their own family? Through the community of knowing one another and caring for one another. And around the same time, I had some interns who they would say, oh, Instagram and social media just makes me so depressed. I just look at all the wonderful things that other people are doing and I feel so lazy, or I don't feel like I'm good enough. And so I started making these pie puppets because I wanted to try to teach them that you don't have to fight for your slice of the pie. You have your own pie and you have your own path. You have your own life to live. And so these little pie characters are actually kind of, instead of self-help or self-improvement coaches, they're you are enough coaches. And just to give you kind of a little behind the scenes of how the green screen works, I am in a ridiculous suit. Luckily, you can't see it very well. And then each character is puppeteered separately and then green screened. The green screen is edited and then composited together. And this is me making puppets as quickly as possible. My husband, I heard him on the phone, he said, I don't know, she just keeps making puppets. And he was like, yeah, every time I wake up, there's another one. He woke up and I put that big orange one on the couch. By then, I thought it would surprise him, but he's completely immune by then. But this was an incredible journey of just like problem solving and trying to figure out what you can do on your own. But I really did realize that a big part of what makes my art make me happy is the fact that I do get to spend time being creative with other people. So the first segment of Spectrum Force 5 is downstairs, but the rest of it all the audio has been recorded, but hopefully in the future, we'll film the rest. And so I'm gonna scoot over to, so here's one of the kind of just to show you how I planned them. I was asked by the Moody to do a reunion center at Rice University in their space, and they have very tall ceilings. And so we decided we would have family members parachuting in, which I had never done that before. But I love Disneyland and Disney World. It's the first time I felt like I was really seeing art. And so I thought, wouldn't it be fun if it had kind of It's a Small World kind of feel? And so you can see, yeah, they're kind of almost like a Ferris wheel. And so it also was great because characters I had made earlier, I was able to make their parents and their family members. And just to give you an idea of the scale. Okay. Oh, and it was wonderful also seeing how creating my work and bringing it into a space, I'm also learning how people can interact with the work because I had never thought of people meditating or doing yoga in front of the work. And I guess that people really liked it because they could just zone out and be like, whoa, this is trippy. So let's see here. And also, I mean, one of the things that means so much to me is to see people be able to see their families and themselves in the work. My friend Marisol, I've known her since she was a teenager. She's a minister, and her wife have a son, and they were able to bring their son to this show. And there is a set of puppets that were featured in the show. This was like a photo of them before they were installed. But basically, he was able to see a couple that looked like his mom and mom. And also, because of the modular style of my work, it's very flexible. And so that's been really fun to be able to accommodate different spaces. So we were able to reset up a group of characters and create an arrangement specifically for a smaller space at TCU, a college, and create some new pieces. And this piece arrangement was called Children Need Love Like Flowers Need Rain. And just the idea that I hope for every kid who's in college to know that no matter how much pressure you're under or what you're going through, I hope that you can remain like water. Water changes its form. It can, it gets cold, it becomes snow or ice. It's under pressure, it turns into steam, but it never forgets its inner essence, that it is H2O. So like what makes it who it is never changes. Right before we started installing, was it? Yeah, right around the time we were planning this show, I was wrapping up this giant spaceman, Amplexus. He is the greatest consensual hugger in the universe, and his wife, Spasia. And I just love this kid over here that's like doing the Amplexus stance. I was like, that is incredible. So it is so much fun to see how the work touches people. And I had done paintings of Spasia and Amplexus before, but after making sculptures of them to this size, then to go back and paint them, I really see how the three-dimensional relationship changes your understanding of the character. When you have to move them, you have to hug them, and you really get to feel them. And so I've noticed this change in the paintings after creating 3D versions. And Okay, so I added this special part for y'all because this piece is brand new. I made it specifically for this show. It's called The Quantum Storyteller, which I think maybe people from outer space, if they saw TV, they'd be like, it just keeps going. It's like a quantum storyteller. And so this is one of the most famous families in the cosmic womb, the Jones family. And Grandma Jones loves her stories. She really likes K-dramas. But she also loves to see how famous and well her grandchildren are doing. And so they're all sitting to watch the show together. This piece was actually one of those moments where I'm learning how to collaborate with other people instead of doing everything myself. And I found a toy making company in Pearland, Texas. And so this team helped me. I drew it all out, and then they cut the pieces. And then I was able to take that frame and then build onto it to kind of give it more support, and then also paint, I think, like 100 buttons that you can see downstairs. But it was definitely an interesting process. So I was like, oh, I'm going to document it so you all can see kind of what happens. I never thought that I'd use bandsaws or lasers. I actually learned how to use lasers for this project, and just super fun. And so this is another family that's downstairs, the Freezer Burn family, with Safety Steve, the fireball with wearing inline skates, and Optimistic Carl, who runs the Restorative Justice Center in outer space, and their two adopted kids. We have Kenjamin Frank, a grumpy piece of teenage toast, and oh my goodness, I am forgetting what? Taylin, oh my goodness, she's gonna be so mad at me. I swear, I feel like I have 250 different characters in my head. But yes, Taylin, and Taylin is a gumdrop penguin toddler. And so this is kind of how I started to map out the idea of how to put them into three-dimensional space. And so here you can see I tried to document so y'all could understand all the different steps that go into just making Kenjamin. And so, you know, creating the wires for the hands, they're posable, trying to remember how to make shoes for a piece of toast, sewing those shoes. Yeah, it's a wild process. I went downstairs, I was mumbling to myself, and my husband was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm trying to remember how to make shoes for toast. And he's like, all right, like, I'll see you later. But it worked out fantastic. And so downstairs in the Quantum Storyteller, Vincent Chin was learning about him as a teenager really changed my life and made me realize that making social justice an important part of your life, making sure that all humans are allowed to feel safe, it's really important. And when I was thinking about Michigan and wanting to do something special, I was thinking about the theme of family, and I rewatched the documentary about Vincent Chin, and I was so touched by the interview of Vincent Chin's mother, Lily Chin, talking about deciding to adopt her son. And I just wanted to invite him to the cosmic womb, and I wanted to see him grow up. And so this was kind of healing for me, because I did about 250 drawings of him to do that short 15-second animation of him that's downstairs, where I was able to see him laugh as a child and grow up to be an adult and then become a bird and be free and fly away. And so I thought I would finish this talk with a quote from Fred Rogers, who is one of my heroes. Anything that's human is mentionable, and anything that is mentionable can be more manageable. When we talk about our feelings, they become less overwhelming, less upsetting, and less scary. The people we trust with that important talk can help us know that we are not alone. So thank you all so much. So I guess, I don't know if there's time, but okay. I believe if people have questions that I'll try to answer them. I might have to consult a puppet or a piece of art to find out what their opinion on it is, but yes? My husband is not here, but he was singing in some of the, and he also puppeteers that pink octopus that was modeling for the, and downstairs, if you hear the driving song, he's singing on that as the octopus that keeps asking. Oh, thank you. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, my husband is also an artist. He also has an imaginary world with a superhero named Torpedo Boy. And so it has been such a gift and a blessing. Every day feels like a Christmas holiday, because we're always creating new things and surprising each other with it. So it's really a blessing. Yes?
So what I understood about the galactic lady creating the universe, so basically what I understand is she isn't just like made a colorful world where like dreams come true and everything, and where everyone is combined. And I understand is that she is the one that makes the planets and everything and created families, and that's how I understood her as.
Yeah, she's got kind of I'm a super nerd, so it's like I had to write it all out and figure out exactly what her origin story is. If I pass her, just let me know. But basically, the idea is that she sits on top of a turtle named Yule. And these two characters that are not in that painting, that are bounty hunters, they collect kind of these echoes of trauma. And they drop them into this ocean. And Yule kind of represents time. And Yule eats these echoes of trauma, and he births planets. So kind of the idea that those tough times in our lives that feel kind of like fertilizer can be transformed into brand new worlds. And so then she takes the worlds that he has birthed from these struggles, from these moments that we go through, and places them in the sky. Yeah.
That one was definitely one of my favorite one of your compositions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I could spend hours diving into a world like this. Do you have any books or info on your website about the world so I can learn more about it?
There, on my website, there is some information. Book-wise, I mean, we have a coloring book, which is pretty awesome. And there's like a word find and a maze, but you actually do get to learn a little bit about the characters and their names. And I know that there has been previous exhibitions have done like a digital PDF, the Crow Museum, Crow Collection did an incredible one through ISU, like ISUU, I guess. And that one actually has like breakdowns, and we based it on the Marvel Universe Series 3 cards because I traded them as a kid with my comic book friends. So the design of it, the stats, the information about them is kind of based on the Marvel Universe way of organizing characters. Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about your process for naming characters? The names are so like rich and very interesting.
Oh, thank you. I think it's a combination. Sometimes I'll find a name and I'll just love it and then want to find someone for it. Like we used to pass this used car dealership place, but one of the lights in the pre-owned fell, like it stopped working. So it looked like it said pre-owned. And so I'd always yell in the car like pre-owned. And then I met someone, a curator, who had a dream of having a little box that you could press and then a whole bicycle would come out and you could ride it. That was his dream as a kid. So in my head, I'm like, oh, I got to make a bicycle named pre-owned that is like this big, and then you press it and it like animates and opens up. So, and those things will like percolate in my head. Sometimes I'll make something and I don't know. There's a character who's never been a puppet. He really should be a puppet. I always say I'm going to do it and then I don't. He's in one painting. His name is Larry. He likes to eat sad feelings and push stuff. And when I paint, I made a collage of him and I did a painting of him and I just looked at him. I was like, his name's Larry. He's just Larry. That's who he needs to be. The other way that characters get their names is I loved Latin class in school. I'm still close with my Latin teachers from high school. And so Spasianum, Plexus, Magna Scotia, all those characters' names come from Latin. And so I consult my Latin teachers from high school and I'm like, did I get the grammar right? And they're like, well, that one's kind of wrong, but it sounds cooler. So I always have to get there. And the last way, like some of the mice and different characters, I had a bus driver who actually was a retired illustrator, and his name was George. And George made me a little mouse out of 2 seashells and drew on it. And he gave it to me, and he brought me to his art studio, and he drew pictures of Roger Rabbit for me, which is my favorite movie. So I thought he was the coolest bus driver ever. So I made a little mouse puppet and I named him George. And I think that there's something where like, I can't always be around the people that I love, but when I'm able to kind of encapsulate them into a puppet or a character in a painting, while I'm working on that painting, I get to be with that person. So like Pound Cake Man is inspired by my birth father who tried to be a boxer. He wasn't very good at being a boxer, but he knew he was very handsome, so he stopped letting people punch him. But the thing about my birth father is that he has these very strong emotions. He loves singing, he loves karaoke, he's very goofy and playful and funny, and even my Korean friends are like, your dad's like not a normal Korean guy. Like he's really goofy, he's funny, and he has such strong emotions. And I thought, what if I could create a positive form of masculinity, like kind of celebrate the idea that your muscles, your strength could be your emotions. And so as I was sewing that piece and making it, I was thinking a lot about my birth father. And so it's one of those beautiful things that even though people may be far away or not even on this planet anymore, I get to spend time with them. And while I'm working on the pieces and I have interns or helpers there, I can tell them the stories of the people that I've met and the things that they've taught me.
What are your dreams like, and do they influence your art at all?
Oh, my dreams are very stressful. I'm always like working jobs that I'm not supposed to, or like managing a shoe store, or like, I don't know, like trying to be a projectionist at a theater that's already gone digital. It's yeah. So I have had I've had 1 or 2 dreams with cosmic moon characters, but it's very rare that they ever pop up there. They're just kind of in my head when I'm awake. Yeah. Was there? Oh, yes.
What are you working on now? You're always working.
Oh, yeah. So I am working on, so downstairs there's a painting called Discovering Truth Will Make Me Free. And there's like this little blue fairy that is enlightening Pound Cake Man and helping him remember before he was brainwashed into thinking he was a thug, that in a I don't know, like henchman for one of the bad guys named the Emperor, who's shaped like an egg and he's terrible. But basically he got touched almost like Buddha under the Bodhi tree, and he was reawakened, and he realized, oh my God, I'm a single dad from outer space, and I loved making my kids lunches, and I used to run the intergalactic Simone Biles fan club. I had a life. And so, but this blue character, you'll see her in many paintings. And I realized, like, I had never let this character who had helped so many other characters have her own story. And I started thinking about, what does it feel like to always play a supporting cast member in everybody else's life? And so I'm working on a story about her where she realizes that she's not just a side character or a helper, that she actually has a rich and beautiful story, and that she's actually the quantum soup surfer who can control water and is also the spiritual essence of water. And that she's been here since the moment that water was found near beds of stars. And so I'm working on that narrative right now.
Have you ever made a character about yourself or represents you?
Well, I would say that the tuplets from the video, I love the idea that like a tuplet in music, it's like a beat. So like a triplet is 3 notes that equal a beat. The same way that our heartbeat it can only beat one time at a time, unless you have a very special heart and it does something strange, but you get one thump at a time. But that thump gets divided into all the different ways that we love and how we are. So my heart beats, but I'm a sister, and I'm a wife, and I'm a friend, and I'm an artist, and I'm a teacher. And so the tuplets kind of represent that idea of the many parts of the self, instead of having to choose one part to be like, oh, I can be many things. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So one of the aspects of your art that I find most compelling is the limitlessness of the ideals that you put forth, like love and unity, at a time, like probably almost other times in history, when some of these ideals feel limited in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm wondering, to what extent do you find your art to be kind of a space of solace for the audience? And to what extent is it an ask of the audience? Is it activism, right? Are you asking people to put these ideals in a more limitless way into the world?
I like to think of it, my work, to kind of be like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So when I was little, I watched that movie and I just thought it was a really cool film. And it made me curious about animation and how did they make this, and the promise or the idea of living with living art, like humans interacting with living art. But then I got older and I started realizing, oh, this movie, as an adult looking at it, it's about gentrification. That's a big part of the story. It's about a group of technically people of color that are dealing with a very corrupt justice system. I mean, Judge Doom is horrible, and they have different rules for them. The Ink and Paint Club is segregated. It's humans only, like tunes are only there to serve and to entertain. And so I try to take the approach where you can come into this work as a young person and it can mean one thing to you. And as you get older, maybe you can see other things in it. But I never want to make someone feel like they have to subscribe to my ideas. I would rather them come up to me and say, this reminded me of something specific in my life that I'm thinking about. And not for me to have to say, no, you have to, this is about this. If it inspires those stories to come up for them, I mean, that's such a gift. And I had no idea when I first started doing this that it would bring that kind of solace or hope or good feelings for other people. It really was for myself, where, you know, I would hear on the radio that immigrant children that were being detained weren't allowed to have soccer balls. And so you'll notice in one of the videos, there's like a giant puppet soccer ball running around, because that night I just was like, I have to make a soccer ball. Like, so even if they can't have it in the real world, they can have it in the cosmic womb. And so for me, sometimes it's just a way for me to process my feelings. But it was really remarkable to find out, like, oh wow, I'm not alone. Other people, I guess, can find something from this, and that was really wonderful. Oh yeah.
How long do your puppet animation videos take to make?
Oh, some of them, Spectre Force 5, some days I would only get about 18 seconds of video done. Because there were so many characters, and I had to create a click track. So basically just record myself saying, run, jump, look left, look right, look scared, run away. And then every single character, all 12 of them, I would have to do that with each one, listening to the soundtrack. So, but some of the videos, like I did one about a pink octopus with eczema singing about wanting to learn how to make friends with people. And that one took significantly less time because I write the music. That can take a little bit of time to compose the song and get a catchy hook. So it varies, you know, but I think Spectre Force 5 took about 2 years to do. Yeah. Yes?
I was curious, how do you learn to like make all the puppets over time and do puppeteering? Like, is that something cool or just like a lot of trial and error?
You know, when I was in school, I didn't want to do all those classes that at Mass Art, they make you take a 3D class and all these. I was like, I'm a real painter. I don't need to take this video art class. And but because we had these homework assignments, I started, you know, dipping my toe in it and thinking about it. But I was like, no, I'm a painter. But then when I started just making painting all of my life, I realized something was missing. So Adam Krudinger, who just recently passed away. He was an incredible puppeteer, designer and puppeteer and teacher. He was a teacher with children at like a school. But then he also made time to teach online. So like during COVID, a lot of kids were learning from him. A lot of adults were learning how to make puppets from him. And I bought one of his puppet patterns through Project Puppet, and I made 2 puppets. I made the pink puppet octopus with eczema named Put Put, and I made a white rabbit named Ogie Togie. And from there, I was hooked. And so I just started ordering more of their puppet patterns from Project Puppet. Small company, wanted to support them. And I don't know, it just was super fun to do it. And there is some communities online through Facebook of puppet making people. And they're the nicest people you will ever meet. And so I would ask them a million questions, and I ended up getting advice from one gentleman who actually used to be the one that had to glue all the feathers onto Big Bird. That was one of his first jobs, Tim. He's also a toy maker, and he also dyed the fur for Mr. Snuffleupagus. That was one of his grunt jobs when he first started. And he later went on to work on Fraggle Rock and design the uncle that's always traveling with the mustache. That was his design. And so when I would struggle, they would reach out to me, him and a few other people, and just give me advice. And one time, Tim just was like, let me call you right now and I will teach you how to do this. So if you want to get into puppets, it is a really loving, warm community. Okay, one more question. Oh, it's like a tie. You guys decide amongst yourselves who wants to, I can't.
I know that you went from semi-realism to surrealism all the way to the bright colors, and I just wanted to know what was the switch to that? I love that you went from being realistic and painting what you see in the world, but then going truly into your heart and imagination.
You know, I think when I first started painting, I thought, oh, I need to prove to people that I can paint real good. I'm a really good painter. Look at how good I painted this foot or this head. And then I started to realize, you know, if I'm painting a character that's like a supervillain, that's kind of, I don't know, kind of a clumpy, I don't know, like, yeah, that kind of shape, then maybe if the character's kind of dumb, wouldn't I paint it kind of dumb? So like, you'll notice sometimes the formal qualities, that's when I started realizing it's not always about showing off that I can do something. It's about figuring out how to use that tool. And so I love that contrast where you might have this big, gargantuous, simple shaped character, because it's kind of a simple minded bad guy, being fought by like a very graceful kind of character that has a certain shape to it that's very different and maybe has highlights and details and a level of sophistication to the way it's painted because she's a sophisticated lady, you know? So it's really fun to have that way to play with the formal styles. And it definitely is something that I remind myself that you already know, JooYoung, that you can paint. You don't have to keep proving it. Like, just do what is right. And I feel like as I've learned how to do that in my paintings, I've learned how to bring that into my own life as a human being. You know, that understanding of enoughness and that you don't have to prove that you're allowed to be here. We were all supposed to be here because we're here. And so I'm learning that more and more through my art. So thank you for asking that.
Thank you so much, JooYoung. That was just wonderful. And I know we could have all stayed here for another hour or two listening to you. Our galleries are open till 8 o'clock tonight. So if you haven't had a chance to see JooYoung's show, it's downstairs in the Joy Light Gallery. And also our Source from the Zoo exhibition, which is a community source show, is in the gallery right when you walk out. And then next to that is our Young Artists exhibition. So there's a lot to see at the KIA before 8 o'clock. But thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciate you.